insane. So it's time to get the mini loom done. So at least I have lights and wipers and ignition. It's basically what I'm aiming for here. I'm not 100% sure what to do with the cocks yet. So we had these two looms that I've got off the various minis that I've had over this time. Started trying to go through it and label it. No diagrams seem to match any of these looms. The multiple bits of looms, and it was just... Well, I'll put some pictures up. I was spending hours trying to figure it all out, and of course some bits have been chopped over time, and is it an OEM part or not, and it was a nightmare. And then I remembered original Kev's loom, and used what I'd done so far on that one on Kev's loom originally, and I think we've got it. I think we've got it all pretty much labelled up. There's a couple of question marks, but the way we can hopefully figure that out is to lay it out in the car. That's the plan anyway. So I need to tidy up inside of Kev, because I've just been kind of chucking stuff in to keep it tidy in the workshop. So we'll empty Kev out, and then we'll work out where this loom fits, sits, and hopefully the loom that then connects to this and runs along the left hand side of the car to the back, we can work out, and we can connect up some things like lights, etc., and a battery, and see how good the loom is. So I'm not going to show you anything that I did from doing the wiring. It was so boring. So now I'm going to set up to try and get the loom working for lights basically and wipers. So we've got a few things in place ready for that. So there's a wiper motor there. I have a spare in case, you know, that could be dead, but they're pretty reliable things. We've got the lights kind of where they need to be. We've also got some rear lights ready. We've also got some components like washer bottle, a heater fan, and a rear lights and a horn. Hopefully we get all those things working today. I've got a spare column that I'm keeping because these switches are actually quite broken, and what's with the green. So the plan is to get that loom. Oh yeah, and I've got a brake light switch. Get that loom, kind of lay it in the car, and go over the scuttle or around the scuttle, whatever's necessary, because I've blocked some holes up, and plug everything in that does plug in, and then work out what's missing. So I'm going to get on with that. You can go and watch something else more interesting like Binky, and we'll be back in a second. Alright, we made sense of this loom. We've been at it all evening. We've opened up the loom, just traced some wires using the laptop and some diagrams I was using before, and we sort of put a few bits together. I think I need a new flasher relay. All sorts of issues trying to trace the flasher relay, and it turned out I think it's just a bad relay. There's still a few things. I haven't got any lights on the dash there. I'll come to that. Still got a couple of rogue wires. Still not sure what they do. They don't seem to do anything that I need so far, so I'm not bothered about them. Eventually I'll thin the loom down, as obviously I don't need some of it, but some of it I could use. So for instance, there's 12 volts coil wire over there. Well, that's a constant 12 volts once ignition's on, even with under starting, so maybe that would come in handy, I don't know. Anyway, made some sense of it all. Labelled up some more things, worked out where some wires go. I'll need to run a couple of wires to the back for a fog light and for reverse lights, because the loom from front to rear doesn't seem to have that for some reason on this Mini, but the loom from Kev did, and we need reverse lights, so we'll sort that out. It is a bit of an menagerie of things, trying to make Earth just stretch around for now, but let's show you what we can do. First of all, ignition. 1, 2, and if you listen for the click, starter relay is engaging and sending 12 volts to the right wire. With the ignition on, brake lights. Brake lights. Brake lights. There we go. Brake lights. That's how it should have gone the first time. Sticky switch, half the switches are sticky. And brake lights off. Very nice. Side lights. Side lights rear. Lovely. How pleasant. Side light on the front. Very good. That one's missing a bulb, but it does get voltage. That's a start. Can we get dipped beam and main beam? Let us find out. Dipped beam. Main beam. Dipped beam. Main beam. Dipped beam. Main beam. I'm going insane. Little flashy flashy. Very nice. There we go. Indicators to the rear. To the side. To the side front. To the side front. To other side. Well. Okay, I have a choice of 3 relays. One that flashes too fast, one that just stays on permanently, and one that occasionally wants to work, and when it does, it works right. So I might order a new one of those. They can't be too expensive, can they? And I assume I need a 3-pin, because I've got a 3-pin plug, but... See. There we go. Now she's going. Left flashy, left front flashy, left side flashy, and left flashy on the dash. Right flashy. Yay! Right flashy rear, right flashy side, right flashy front. Nice. Wipers. Slow speed. Faster speed. Doesn't seem to have a park. Is that normal with a Mini? Not sure. And washers. Only motor that's actually working. About all the other lights, no one cares about that. The horn. Well, let us attach our official horn of Earth. I'm going to put one in the loom, obviously. But that's our Earth, using a positive cable, of course, and... Oh yeah, we'll take that off because I've been touching that all night, and it's doing my head in. Right, so, I'm going to briefly try and work out why we don't have any lights on the clock. I can get the coolant gauge to work, I can get the fuel gauge to work, I can't get an oil light or a battery light. And that has to do with it not being connected to the alternator, because I might use an amalgamation of the parts. Don't know yet. Likely just Ford clocks, and I might use these clocks in some other dial somewhere. For the fuel, not sure yet. Obviously not the speedo, that's not going to work. Got no cable. But the lights, for instance, I might just wire them up to the back of the Ford one. Probably the simplest thing to do. Moving forward, obviously of vital importance is ensuring the interior light comes on when you open the door. So the one is pinned one side, and then the other one is pinned down there on the other side of the door. And when we earth it, interior light. Oh yeah. And then the other one there will be earthed actually to the body, and then you can turn one on permanent or not. I think I need to probably replace one of those. But it proved it worked. Yay! We'll be cleaning this mess up. Excuse me, sniffles. Probably replacing this old school fuse box. It looks so retro. I like to keep it. I'll clean it up. But this mess here with these inline fuses, just had an awful wiring issues trying to figure out why the one side light wouldn't work, which is actually the one that feeds these. So hence having the lights on there now. Traced it all the way back to this fuse here, which the fuse is fine, had 12 volts there, but I just couldn't get it there. Turns out it was just they're all grotty inside, really, just slightly grotty. Oh, I can't stand them. I'd like to be able to just see them properly, and this is obviously a non, OEM style one. So maybe a little block of 3 or 4, you can get them, be simple enough. Might solve that problem. That would be nice. Same issue with things like this, just dangling around. We're going to probably put a douche connector over there, whatever you call them. Douche connectors. So cool, we have sunlight in there now, even though it's lost its mounting. So I think that's it for tonight. I do need to get a new flasher unit. That is for sure. Just not reliable. I don't think it's the switch. Because it'll then go. Maybe it is the switch. I don't know, man. We'll get another relay because it's certainly not right. Whatever's going on with this relay, and then we'll go from there. That's it for now for wiring. Tomorrow morning I come in, see if we can get the blower motor working, start fixing the issues I found. Found lots of melty down in here. Not good. So we'll just check all the connections, a couple of breaks down in here as well. Fix what we can. I won't be taping anything up yet. Fix what we can. work out why there's random wires dangling out, and go from there. Alright, some more progress made. None of really which is great for entertainment values, but there's loads of numbers that aren't, and codes that aren't on this, so I'm writing them down as we go. The different colour codes that I can't find on here but do exist, and as I'm doing so, confirming what they are. I've also removed the dim dip resistor, which I didn't have the resistor, and I don't like dim dip anyway, so we've removed that wiring from the plug. Not just cut it, we've actually pulled the plug out, so I'm not confused by that. I've put on Classic Minis on Facebook about these light green and orange wire. Bit of a random one. There's two wires there, one to the wiper, one feed, and actually one that I think that does also feed this. So it's a main power. I just want to know what it's meant to be doing. There's two plugs back there. Hopefully they'll help. They've been very useful so far. I've also managed to make the oil pressure switch, the battery light, coolant and fuel gauge all work fine. So that's good. The lights on the back of this are working. And then I went and got the heater box, which has got the control panel on it thankfully, and didn't have the red plug, but as you've seen earlier I had some other looms, so I've been stealing bits off those, and they had this red plug on one loom, so I was very happy with that. We've wired it in. One is just an earth and the other is this, which has obviously been replaced. It must have melted originally. At least it's green, so it does kind of match the colour coding of the power system. And now we have a low speed fan. High speed! Awesome. I do have a little pull thing to open and shut this for the matrix that sits in the engine bay. Otherwise you're always getting hot water. You have to shut that off. So just need to find the valve. I'm sure I've got it somewhere if I don't. We just order that. We'll pull the matrix out to inspect it. If it's okay, we'll keep it, and we'll just service the bushes in the motor at some point later. But we know it works. So cool, we can take that off and leave that plug at the end. So just to give you an idea of the nature of all this, in the middle, that's the entire loom for the Mini. Every wire needed to run a Mini, including clocks and a load of switches as well. What surrounds it is the loom from a Fiesta. Wait. It's not a freewheeler, don't forget. The wheel, it's not a freewheeling wheel, so the wheel is locked to the pedals.